1 month before midterms, Feinstein gets nasty surprise from 240 million Americans. With just over 1 month to go before the midterm elections, Sen. Diane Feinstein has been given a nasty surprise from more than 240 million Americans who aren't exactly thrilled with the way she handled Christine Blasey Ford's baseless accusations against Supreme Court nominee Judge Brett Kavanaugh. It's not looking good for the California Democrat as November nears. In this day and age, it's hard to get anyone to agree on anything. You can hardly get people to agree that water is wet, let alone on controversial political topics. However, 75% of Americans, more than 240 million people, agree that Senator Diane Feinstein did a poor job of handling Christine Blasey Ford's allegations against Supreme Court nominee Judge Brett Kavanaugh. A majority of voters believe that Kavanaugh's confirmation process was politicized and mishandled, with 69% calling it a national disgrace, a poll from the respected Harvard Harris Group has found. Additionally, 75% of voters believe that Senator Diane Feinstein should have immediately turned over the letter from Christine Ford to the Senate Judiciary Committee in July, when she received it. Back in July, shortly after Judge Brett Kavanaugh was nominated by President Donald Trump to fill retiring Justice Anthony Kennedy's seat on the Supreme Court, Palo Alto University professor Christine Blasey Ford wrote a letter to Diane Feinstein accusing Kavanaugh of attempting to rape her at a drunken high school party 36 years ago. However, instead of going through the proper channels to investigate Ford's claims, Feinstein sat on the letter for more than 6 weeks. During that time, Brett Kavanaugh participated in 65 different meetings with various senators, among them, Diane Feinstein. But she never brought up Ford's letter or her allegations at any of those meetings. Likewise, Feinstein did not confront Kavanaugh about Ford's sexual misconduct claims as the judge sat for hours and hours of testimony before the Senate. Not until the eve of his confirmation, after the Democrats had already exhausted all legitimate means of thwarting President Trump's Supreme Court pick, did Feinstein make Ford's accusations public, igniting a political firestorm that would ultimately destroy the well-respected judge's life. It was immediately clear that Feinstein had only made Ford's claims public for political purposes. Her intent was to delay the judge's confirmation for as long as possible. If she thought there was anything to Ford's story, she would have shared it sooner. She only saved it so it could be used if absolutely needed at the 11th hour. So, it's no wonder people are fed up with Feinstein. Fox Business contributor Lee Carter noted the stunning results of the poll regarding Feinstein's handling of Ford's allegations during an on-air segment, using it as proof that Democrats ultimately screwed themselves by trying to drag Kavanaugh through the mud. In talking to folks last week, a lot of them were very angry at the existing senators, said Carter. Very angry at Diane Feinstein for waiting so long to get this out there. If you look at this, 75% of Americans, and that's across party lines, are blaming Diane Feinstein for where we are right now. If Friday's any indication, Feinstein's politically motivated attempt to stop him from sitting on the Supreme Court has ultimately failed. Thankfully, we live in a country where justice typically prevails. An FBI investigation has found nothing to corroborate the claims made by Christine Blasey Ford. The Democrats have no more cards left to play. Ironically, it looks like Feinstein's efforts to hurt Kavanaugh have actually hurt her own career, and it's only weeks before the midterm elections. There could not be a worse time to screw up this big, but Feinstein only has herself to blame.